one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering subreddits for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine. It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine. Welcome back to the Howling Salt Mine podcast, everybody. This is the podcast where we are delving into those mines of the Magic the Gathering subreddits. We're finding the saltiest veins of posts. We're chipping them out, throwing them in our mine cart, and bringing them up to see what we get. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
Yoo-hoo.
Hi.
Have you guys picked up on the fact that I always say Mike and Tony, and then you respond Tony first and then Mike?
It's what makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a better order.
I feel like we're confusing our listeners so bad.
No, they love it. They're here for it.
Well, as long as they know that. And we have two special guests with us today. Super happy to have these guys on the show. Big fan of their podcast. And this is our first crossover episode, guys. This is big shit right now.
It's groundbreaking.
Yeah, this is some groundbreaking shit. So buckle up. We are joined by Lance and Sonny from the Pay the One MTG Podcast. Say hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Well, what is going on, you guys? Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's an amazing opportunity, and thank you again. We love your guys' podcast. We've been listening to you guys for a while.
Thanks, man.
You guys are awesome. So the honor
thanks,
is
dude.
completely ours. The honor is completely
please.
ours.
Oh, shucks. Well, we feel the same way. I mean, I've listened to every episode that you guys have put out so far, and we've done our homework and specifically focused on some of the salty episodes that you had. Yeah. I think it was like, I want to say 11 and like 22 or something were your salty episodes.
Man.
One was like cards that make us puke, which I really loved.
Oh, dude, that was a good one.
Important to note that like what was highlighted there was a lot of blue cards because, as we always say, blue is a trash color for trash players.
I hope anonymous player 6969420 is listening.
It's shaking his fist somewhere.
Damn.
I also realized listening earlier, both of our podcasts have another player in our pod, Nick, that is just always receiving all of the shit.
Yeah.
Too, which is great.
It's like if you're given the name Nick on your name day, like you're just destined to be a dick. Like
Nick, if you're listening, we didn't say that. That was Sonny. Sonny, the check is in the mail. Thank you for saying that. Well, thanks for jumping on with us today, guys. So with all of our guests, we like to kick it off with a couple questions. This is our very brief interview portion of the podcast. So our first question for you two guys is, when did you get into Magic? How long have you been playing?
So I actually started playing when I was in the military. So we were TDY. Well, TDY is just like we went to work up in Alaska, and there's honestly nothing much to do in Alaska unless you're like a super outdoorsy person, which I am not. I like the AC, I like a bed, and I like a good TV show to watch. So they were playing Magic downstairs, like in the little break room area, and I'm like, what's going on? What is this? And a bunch of my friends taught me, and we were drinking, and then one thing led to another, and we went to a little card shop that was in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I actually ended up buying 2 boxes of Shadows over Innistrad.
Oh, good set, dude.
Yeah.
So that's where the Magic story began for me. And so it just kind of fell from there. And I've just been playing this whole time. So I want to shout out my friends that taught me Magic while I was drinking. And a little drunk took me to that card shop.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Sonny?
So actually, funny story, the way that I learned how to play, our buddy Joe, which is Nick's brother, he's been playing for years and he wanted me and my wife to learn to play, but we just kept like blowing it off like, nah, Magic's for nerds. It's like, it's for those dudes that live with their parents, and nah, fuck that, dude. Never. One day, like, he was sleeping over the house and I was like, you know what? I'm super bored. Like, screw it. Let's just play a game. He bought me a deck. We played, and like 6 hours later, I was like 4 a.m, and we were just still playing. And I ate my words, dude. I ate my words like a Thanksgiving feast. It was like Amazing. Like I was super stoked. My wife learned it right afterwards. She was super stoked.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the only reason we got into Commander actually is because of Lance. Lance at this point had already been playing, and he had bought the Planeswalker precons.
Oh, love those.
So he was like, well, he gave my wife, I think, the Windgrace one, and then he gave me Amanatu, and the rest is pretty much history.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's so great. It's cool that your wife plays too. My wife used to play, can still play, but has not in a very long time.
Oh no, my wife is the toxic player besides Anonymous User 69. She's the one that I swear to God, she's the one that plays Windgrace and like land destruction. Windgrace, land destruction is her thing.
Is she the stacks player?
Brutal.
Not the stacks, but she will play land wipes every game that she does. Like whatever deck she has, it'll either have God, what's the one card, Lance? It's in every deck of hers.
Mind Crank.
Mind Crank.
Yeah, she loves Mind Crank.
Mind Crankers are like bread and butter for anything.
Oh, I think you guys mentioned that in one of your episodes. That sounds very familiar because Rose comes on your show every once in a while.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that is a perfect segue into our next question, which is what makes you salty?
Lance, go ahead. You take this one.
Infect, board wipes, and Gaddock Teague.
Shit. Oh, you're so right.
Those are pretty much my three salty cards. I mean, Infect, I've always said it. Infect is cheap, even though I play. Board wipes, when you got a good board state, man, those board wipes are just devastating. And Gaddock Teague, man, that little gnome thing is just his work. He puts out work, when he hits the battlefield, you're pretty much screwed over.
That's a cheap card, man. Gaddock Teague just sucks.
He's little, but he'll hit you in a big way.
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
It looks like it drops on a table and everyone just like sighs. It's like,
dude. Okay, so kind of to piggyback off of Lance, so that's literally how it is for me. It's the three. It's Winter Orb, Gaddock Teague, and Void Winnower.
Oh.
Solely specifically because our buddy used to play Winter Orb, Urza, and that just blew.
Yep.
And then my wife plays she plays Void Winnower and Gaddock Teague in the same deck. So when she gets all of them out, it's pretty much game over. And we just have to look at her like, are you done? Are you fucking done? Okay, cool.
Oh, man, that's amazing.
She just sits there with her freaking little smile eating Cheetos. And I'm like, yeah, it must be fucking nice, isn't it? All right, cool.
Oh, man, I love it. The salt is so good. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Let's get into it. So like I said at the top of the show, we're going to be talking about salty posts today. We're going to be talking about playgroup interactions, things that make us salty stories from other people, things like that.
But Sam, what's salt?
Great question, Tony. Man, love to hear that question.
I don't think I've asked it before, so
this
is important. Brand new stuff.
Yeah, salt is when you sit down for a friendly game of Magic. You and three of your best friends, you all take out your decks, and you're just ready for some really good times. And then somebody drops Gaddock Teague and Void Winnower, and you just flip the fucking table. That's what salt
horror
is.
That sounds like some salt.
Frustrations, bad breaks, things not going your way. That's what salt is. Well, shall we get into it, guys?
Yeah, hit us with one.
Okay, I'm gonna start us off with something nice and easy. This is short, sweet, and to the salt, as we like to say. This one comes to us from the EDH subreddit. This comes to us from the Monday morning sticky thread that we love so much, the one that has been discontinued, and we mourned it on a prior episode. But this comes from a little while back. This one comes to us from user Locked On 007. If you guys see user Locked On 007 on the EDH subreddits, give them an upvote, spread some goodwill. And the post goes, this is a Play EDH game, which is an online game. And it says, player A tries Necrotic Ooze, Walking Ballista, and Phyrexian Devourer reanimation combo. Player B tries to fetch a Bojuka Bog with crop rotation. Player A counters crop rotation. I laugh and then point to my scavenger ground that's been there since turn one. Player A says, dude, what the fuck? You should be telling me about your lands. And the OP says, I did. Turn 1, I said Scavenger Grounds as my land for turn. Player A disconnected.
Sounds like somebody we know.
So the general Necrotic Ooze combo, basically this is a combo where Necrotic Ooze gets all the activated abilities of creatures in your graveyard. And if you have Walking Ballista in there and Phyrexian Devourer in there, basically this combo where you are getting +1/+1 counters and shooting down the table, right? But it's reliant on having your graveyard in play. If you're casting a crop rotation, you're sacking a land, tutoring up another land at instant speed. Bojuka Bog, we all know and love that. It's in every precon since like 2006. Basically, that is just exiling a target player's graveyard. But the real linchpin card here is Scavenger Grounds, and that is a land. It's actually a desert land. It taps for a colorless mana and also has this nifty little ability: 2 mana and tap, sacrifice a desert, exile all cards from all graveyards.
Ugh.
So this is a classic situation of someone going for their combo, not really understanding the board state, and just rage quitting.
Blaming the other players and rage quitting.
Yeah, that's the best. He's like, you should be telling me that you have a way to stop my combo before it comes out. Like, no way, dude.
Oh God, that just sounded like a little too like familiar from past games.
Oh yeah.
I used to play God, it's that tree guy from Commander Legends.
Kolfinor?
Kolfnor, thank you. I used to play Kolfnor,
Kolfinor.
but a bunch of our friends played graveyard decks at one point, and it was like 5 game nights in a goddamn row where my wife would play Bojuka Bog, and she would just aim it at me only. And she's like, okay, let's see. And I'm like, they've got like 20 cards in their graveyard. I've got like 3. And she'd always point it to me. And I'm kind of like thinking about it, like, I think she's got a secret vendetta to just kind of fucking hate me.
Oh man, your wife was like crushing you guys all the time. Oh, that's amazing.
I have to also shout out the salt that the player that cast the crop rotation must feel, because they had to sack the land as a part of the cost of the cards. So like they're just down a land and don't get anything for it. Don't get to like Bojuka Bog or anything. So they're just sitting there like, fuck me. All right, thanks.
Yeah, there's really like 2 players in this situation that aren't reading the table right. Like you got the player A that's going for their combo. Player B also doesn't see the Scavenger Grounds. They're wasting resources, probably feeling like the hero, like, yeah, I'm going to save us all, guys. And then they get countered. And then, the Scavenger Ground is just sitting there, open, ready to activate.
Ready to smash dreams.
Yeah.
It's also important to remember what cards are on the table.
Definitely.
It's a good lesson, I guess, from both of their perspectives. Like, you always want to be aware, like, what cards do.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
That Scavenger Grounds, like, I have to remember, like,
Yeah.
it exiles graveyards. And it's just an important lesson for everyone. Like, make sure you know what's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Totally.
It feels like also one of those moral tests, though, because like when I know that I have something to stop someone and it's towards like the end of a game or something, I'm kind of like, do I like be like, I do have this on the board, like don't forget, or do I just let them walk into it? And I definitely flip-flop between the two.
Let him walk into it.
Chaotic neutral or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, there's nothing more frustrating than forgetting a card on the board state. I think that's something that every player can resonate with. I mean, we've had games where there's a game that see, Mike is already shaking his head.
I know. I think I know what it is.
Yeah. There's a game that happened pretty recently. We were playing a CDH game. Our friend had Rurik Thar out. If you guys don't know what Rurik Thar does, or listeners don't know what Rurik Thar does, basically whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you're getting pinged for 6 damage.
I'm gonna step away for a second. I can't relive this.
He's like, this one hurts too much to relive through. Like, I can't do it.
Oh, he's literally walking away.
Actually,
Really did.
So Mike does the mental math, and he's like, I can eat 5 or 6 non-creature spells and get my combo off, and I'll be at like 1 life, or I think he was going to be at like 1 or 2 life or something. And he's like, and I can get there. So he starts to do it on his turn, and he starts to go for it. and he gets down to like 6th life. Like he's about to cast
7.
that last spell. 7
life.
It's down to 7 life. He's about to cast that last spell. And then he realizes that I have Marath, Will of the Wilds on board, which is basically a ping machine. You can pay mana, remove +1/+1 counters, and hit somebody for 1 damage. So like it's all the way down, basically just totally burned through all of his great cards, gimped his life total, and just proceeds to become probably the saltiest we've ever seen him since the time that Tony did the king making.
Yeah.
Anything to say about that, Mike?
I just think it's an important lesson that we can all learn, remember the cards that are on the board. Lance said it best there.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes you learn that lesson by not remembering.
Yeah, sometimes you learn that lesson by taking 36 damage in 1 turn from a Rurikthar, but everyone's got their own learning method, so I can't.
Winston Churchill did say once, check board state every time.
Yeah, he was a big standard player, I think.
Yeah, he was. It's kind of lame, but I still respect the man.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the salt rating here of our friend who just straight up disconnected?
I mean, rage quitting, right? That's like instant top tier salt.
Yeah.
At least it's only rage quitting a game. Like, as far as we know, he didn't disconnect from the Play EDH server, but it could have been that too.
Or unplug his computer.
Yeah.
No, there's a hole in that like monitor. He just like punched it right after the game.
Said I can afford another one.
How do you guys think? What's your salt rating on this?
I'm gonna give it a high blood pressure salt rating because that's pretty damn bad.
Yeah,
That's pretty damn bad. Like that, if I was in his shoes and I had to disconnect, that's like top tier salt. I'm cussing everybody out, maybe even my daughter. No, I'm just kidding. That's horrible.
I mean, I give it a pretty high rating. I mean, disconnecting, like what Mike said, is like pretty bad. I just hope, he didn't throw his like computer or break it or something. It's high salt for me. Disconnecting, yeah.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, I think any situation, like you guys are saying, any situation where you're disconnecting from a game, it's got to be salty. It is also funny that, like, I think if this happened at a table, you may not feel as salty. You can't really disconnect. You'd probably just like call your friend a dickhead, or and it would like smooth over. But there's something about being online and being able to be like, "Fuck you, I'm out." That just like brings up the rating to a whole nother level.
I mean, I taste it. That's how potent it is. Like months later, I'm here. I'm like, oh, that is mighty salty.
You're literally just like,
it's so good.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
There it is.
Scavenger grounds. One of my favorite parts too is the way the post is written. It makes it seem like even the player with the scavenger grounds out completely forgot that they had a scavenger grounds out.
Yeah, it's just so good. I love that. Well, what do you guys say? Shall we mosey on to another post here?
Another one.
Give us another one. This one's special for you guys.
My wife keeps stomping me in my games. How do I deal with it?
Yeah, telling that story can't possibly go bad.
Yeah. Sonny, is this your Reddit username? So this one comes to us from the EDH subreddit again. And this one is from user Vamos. Hold on, loading. 1 second.
Do you want to try that again, Sam?
What did I say?
I doubt it's Vamos, but
It is.
Probably-
It's Vamos, maybe?
Vamos.
I think it's Vamos too.
It's VAMOSS.
Could
It's
go
probably like
either
vamos.
way. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Vamos because
pain.
So this one comes to us from the EDH subreddit from user Vamos39. How was that?
Hey.
If you guys see user Vamos39, give him an upvote. Spread a little bit of that goodwill. And the post is titled, Need advice. And like I said, this is a special one for you guys. So just really, really listen in close as I read it. And the post goes, I've run into a problem at my LGS. In my usual play group, there are a husband and wife.
Oh God.
The problem is as follows. When the husband loses, he'll lean back in his chair, lean over his wife's shoulder, and start telling her what to do. I'm not sure what to do about this. It's not asking a judge for help. It's telling her exactly what to do and how to do it. Their defense is she's still learning. It should be noted that she's been playing for about a year and runs either Anawan Rogues or Elven Empire upgraded. I've tried running different decks, but they'll team up and essentially hate me out of the game. I'm tired of not really being able to play, mainly because the LGS is open on Fridays and Saturdays. They must have some kind of schedule thing. Is there anything I can do about this?
Holy crap.
So to kick it off here, Lance, do you ever feel ganged up on by Sonny and Rose when you guys play?
Tell him, Lance. Tell him. Tell him.
Mostly from Rose. Sonny's really, he likes to spread the love. But, when I do have a massive board state or have something like crazy out, I always get ganged up on. Like our last game, I was playing my Ognis Dragon's Lash. So it's haste tribal.
Oh, nice.
You get a bunch of treasure for, having haste features out on the board. And so I had a lot of treasures and I had Magda out as well. So I sacrificed them.
Love Magda.
To pull some dragons out, Corvold, just a lot of things that shouldn't be on the board. Turn 6, turn 7.
No, they shouldn't.
Damn.
At that point, the whole table looked at me. They're like, all right, he's a problem. We should probably just start ganging up on him. And they did. And it was not fun because I got kicked out first.
Dude, we slapped him around like he owed us money. It was great.
Like he owed you treasures.
It was bad.
So the question was like, he's getting ganged up on because he's helping his wife out?
Yeah, so basically they're in this situation where they're playing against a husband and wife couple. And it seems like the husband is kind of backseat driving for the wife after he gets knocked out, And it also sounds like there's kind of this ganging up element too, where the two of them will sort of team up, knock this third player out, and then I guess play head to head until the game is over.
If I can chime in, Lance, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
My lord, my liege, is that okay?
We'll allow it.
I'll allow it. So when it comes to me and my wife, we always kind of agreed on one thing, which was when we're playing, we're homies. When we're playing Commander, when we're playing video games, when we're playing sports, when we're playing anything together, we're not husband and wife. We are homies. That's where we draw the line, where we try to kind of stick it together. So there is no salt. I mean, there is salt, but like not afterwards. Where like we go home and we're like, feeding the kids, and then she's like, "So why the fuck did you kill me with?" It's like, dude, this was yesterday. It's fucking Thursday. What do you want? But we try to kind of have that understanding with as far as teaming up goes. We never try to do that whole like, "Yeah, babe, you want to team up?" Hell yeah, I do. The only time we've done that once, and I'm kind of ashamed to say it, and it was against Nick. But only because we were like salty from his outbursts from the games prior. Literally, we were texting each other while we were playing. We're like, "You want to team up on him just to piss him off?" And she's like, "Hell yeah!" So she started just to like nuke his field, negate his stuff, land wipe his things, everything, and then I just killed him for game. That was the only time. But
that's great.
But other than that, nothing like that has ever happened. But a buddy of ours, Scott, his girl just started playing maybe about a couple months ago, like maybe 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he does kind of the same thing, not the grouping up part, but the backseat driving.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. But she is legitimately new. And that's where we're kind of like, all right, we'll allow it. Mm-hmm. But at some point, even she gets annoyed where she's like, all right, I want to do it alone, leave me alone,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's often kind of like on that new player to be like, hey, appreciate the help, but I'm only going to get better if I'm jamming these spells on my own. Like I got to figure out the right order for this stuff on my own time. So
exactly.
I think that Sam has been married to a few members of our pod at various moments then, because like when he does first, he'll always be like, "Oh wait, but you could do this or that." Not always, and not aggressively. And a lot of it.
That's just how I flirt, Tony.
It's like, I'm at 10 life, but you looking mighty fine right now.
Yeah, hey, big boy, you ever think of sequencing your turn a little differently?
It's like, if you aim that swan song the other way, I might give you a smooch. Just let me know.
Hey, Sonny, do you remember that game we ganged up on you because we were playing 2 witch decks?
Oh, dude, God. Okay, I'm sorry. Fuck. You're bringing this up. All right. So can we explain?
Yeah, rant.
Totally.
God
Digress.
damn it. So we had made decks out of the D&D game, and we were just like, cool. Let's just play for fun. Fuck it. My wife has Coven Precon Commander deck, and Lance made the new witch planeswalker from the D&D
Tasha.
set. Is that the one, Lance? That's the one?
Yeah, Tasha.
It's all about like exiling cards off other people's decks and playing other people's spells and stuff like that. I think it was on a Game Nights episode.
Yes, that's the one where Jonathan Young played her.
Yeah.
So like both of them were like, oh, we're witch bitch sisters. Hey, witch bitch sisters. Because funny story, Lance and Rose are cousins.
Okay.
So they're family already. So literally we were playing, and everything that I tried to fucking do was either negated or fucking destroyed or fucking exiled. And literally I was telling like my wife, like, look, sweetheart, he's got a big ass board. Like I can hit him right now. And she's like, no, exile it. No, exile it. Bitch, sister. Like, dude, it was, I haven't been salty in a long time, but that game legitimately like made me go home. And on the drive home, I broke my own oath, and I was like, why the fuck were you teaming up with Lance? Like, why the fuck weren't you letting me play?
Why you gotta do me like that?
Like, dude, seriously, I was like, why are you doing this? She's like, I was just having fun. I'm like, no, you weren't.
You gotta love the commitment to the bit, though.
Yeah.
Once you've started that, you are committed to being 2 witches at the end of the game.
You have to be witch bitch sisters at that point. I mean, that stuff happens, man. Like that happens in our pod sometimes, where like Mike has this Brian deck, so it's this Boros deck, and then Nick used to play this Feather the Redeemed deck all the time, another Boros deck, and if they both played them at the same time, they'd be like Boros buddies, and just like kill Tony. And we were like, come on, and they're like, well, we're both just playing Boros. It's like not that good, and they would just like crush us, and we were like, dude, fuck off.
I missed that Feather deck.
That Feather deck was dope. Yeah.
Fucking crushed us.
Man, I will say the worst it ever was for our group. This wasn't really like teaming up, but it kind of was. So every year around Christmas time, we do a Secret Santa where we each like build a $50 deck for another person in our pod. And then we give the deck over and we play with it, right? But the result is that I'm seeing Nick play this cool deck that I built him. So I want him to win. So I'm never removing his stuff. I'm like removing other people's stuff on purpose to help him. And like all of us are doing this at the table. So the playgroup dynamic is just a mess because we're all like favoring this other deck to win, to the point where Tony pulled some fucking bullshit. You remember that, dude?
I do.
Oh my God.
As soon as you started talking about it, I was like, oh no, here's more salt from Sam.
What is that supposed to mean? More salt from me?
Salt from Sam that I caused.
So much. I got lists and lists of that salt.
I think I exiled something from your graveyard that you were recurring to like blow up stuff on Mike's board, and he was about to win. And I was like, just let it happen.
And I was like, no. And then you pulled some bullshit to stop me from doing that so Mike could win. And all of us lost and Mike won. And you were like, this is great.
Lance, do you remember when we tried to do that?
Oh, our Secret Santas? Yeah. That didn't end well.
What happened?
Long story short, before Pay the One, we had another MTG page called EDH Upkeep. God, it was like 2020. We did the Secret Santa, which was all of us. It was 5 players, and we all made a deck for each other, but we didn't have a cap. I think it was just like whatever you feel your heart's desire, go for it. That's not the bad part, though. The bad part is that like, God, this feels so bad. Nick was the only one that like bitched and complained because like we played our game and then like he lost, he got super salty, and then Rose won with the deck that he made her. So she ended up winning, and then like months down the road, he was like, "Hey, do you still have the deck?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, play it." And she's like, I don't want to play it. And lo and behold, she just ended up telling me one day, she's like, it's not my style. I don't really like it, which I respect.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'm keeping it because he gave it to me. So I'm keeping it, you know, because a friend gave it to me. Another year goes by. He's like, where's the deck? Why haven't you played with it? And she's like, if I don't want to play with it. He's like, oh, well, if you're not going to play with it, can I have it back? And we're like, bro. So that was like the last time. We're like, never again, never fucking again.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we do tease each other when we like change the deck. Like Nick gave me this Togo Casket deck, which I love, and I've since like tuned it up a whole bunch. And he's like, "Oh, my deck wasn't good enough for you." I was like, "No, it inspired me to make something
better."
You know, I gave it a makeover. It's fine.
Exactly. Just give it a little makeover. Well, that's super funny. So let's dig into this post a little bit. So, you know, how do you guys feel about this kind of situation? I mean, we're talking about like some examples about ganging up when we've experienced that. How you feel about like ganging up and like that kind of backseat coaching?
I think they're really different issues personally. Like, I think the backseat coaching, like Lance was talking about, you kind of have to do it with new players a little bit, like give them some ideas. But it's definitely annoying. Like, I think at a year, someone should be able to kind of play their own deck. And then the other piece, like ganging up, no one wants to like secretly be playing 1v1v double-headed giant. No one wants to do that. So if that's what the game is turning into, that sucks. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do it like oppressively, aggressively often. I feel like, as we've like sort of joked about here, there's lots of situations where it just happens and it's like fun in the moment. But if you make it a habit, it's not a fun game for anyone at that point.
Yeah, if you're like coming out of the gate with the intention to squish one player down and turn into a 1v1, I don't know. That just seems a little weird.
So overall, what are we thinking? What's that salt rating?
I'm gonna give this salt. I know you guys, the guys in the podcast, can't see this, but I'm gonna give this an iodized salt first street since 1871 package of salt. That's pretty. That's a lot.
An aged salt.
We have props. We have props on the show. That's amazing.
Production value through the roof.
Yeah. How you feel, Lance?
I think it's salty, but for all the wrong reasons.
Tell us about that.
I just think he just needs better friends. The person you're seeing. So my advice to this user: go get better friends. Leave the salt behind. Go find better friends.
You're better than this.
Yeah, exactly. You deserve better. You deserve better than this. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, this is definitely a salty situation. If I was in this situation, I'd be taking Lance's advice. I'd be looking for other people to play with, quite frankly. I think what Sonny has with Rose is a very rare situation with couples. And that's with like Magic the Gathering, that's with D&D, that's with board games. I mean, I've hung out and played D&D with friends, and the DM's girlfriend plays with us, and she's getting all the great Magic items, and we're like, cool, like what's happening? You know? And like you can feel that dynamic where there's like some favoritism with couples in games sometimes.
Or the opposite, or just an absolute grudge match every single time they sit down at the table.
Yeah. Dude, remember you didn't wash the dishes? Here's 10 infects.
Yeah. Tainted strike. But yeah, I mean, to this OP, I don't know if you're really going to change the dynamic that a couple has through like some high quality play group conversations. Like even if you came in with the most perfect argument, I don't know if you're going to change how a couple operates, because that runs a little bit deeper than just like, you know, play group dynamics. So yeah, maybe trying to find some other people to jam games with. What about you, Tony? Tony, you're silent over there.
I don't care about Tony's opinion. On to the next post, Sam.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's get one more in, guys. Oh, this is an interesting one. I think I say that a lot. I'm always saying this is an interesting one.
You do always say
it's or there's some salt in this one.
Oh, there's some salt in this one. To the listener, they're all interesting, and there's salt in all of these. Okay, so this one comes to us from the EDH subreddit, and this comes to us from user Just Able. And if you guys see user Just Able on the subreddits, give them an upvote. You know the drill. Spread that goodwill. This post is titled, "Is My Intended Way of Using Gitaxian Probe Frowned Upon?" So for those who don't know what Gitaxian Probe is, sometimes called Git Probe, it is a blue instant. It costs 1 blue Phyrexian mana, so you can pay 2 life for it if you don't want to pay the mana. And you look at target player's hand, and then you draw a card. Generally speaking, I don't think it sees a ton of play in casual games, but it's like kind of a staple in CDH, where basically you can look at someone's hand, see if they have any big counter spells or whatever, and then go for your win. It also cantrips, refills itself after you use it, and it doesn't cost mana, which is pretty fucking dope.
It's basically Pot of Greed.
Yeah. I cast
Free
Pot
card.
of Greed. It's what it do, Yugi. And the post says, "Last week, I had a game where I played Gitaxian Probe, which makes you look at another player's hand. Before I did anything, I checked with the table, and apparently revealing the information about her cards was very frowned upon. I do get why people would feel this way, but on the other hand, it feels weird that I wouldn't be able to share information that would give me or the rest of the table an advantage. Personally, I would also tell people what answers I have in my hand if it matters for whatever reason. So I do not see why I wouldn't be allowed to share other information per se. On the other hand, I do understand and respect if the table feels it is not cool. An argument that was made was that there are also cards that talk about revealing specifically, like revealing to the entire table versus one person just looking. I'm not trying to get my view validated in any way, but I am very curious what you think." So this is a not super salty post, but talks about something that maybe might get somebody salty, which is sort of revealing information outside of cards that explicitly say so. So how do you guys feel about this situation?
I actually disagree with you. I think this is a salty post, and I think the salt is the interpretation of the rules.
Well, you're fucking wrong, dude. So
what I mean is, I think that fuck. No, you're right. Okay, next. Who's
yeah,
next?
let's just go to the next post.
My man, Michael, are you okay?
I think that the people at the table saying, no, you can't share that information is a purely salt-based judgment that they're making. Like, I think they're grumpy about the fact that someone has a creative use for a way to gain knowledge, and they're saying, like, don't do it. I do think that the person, like, jumping to be like, and I'm going to tell everybody what all of their cards are, like, that's not a great use for that person either. They can be, oh, everyone watch out, this person has Jin Gitaxias. So like, everyone watch out, like this threat could come down, or like, if there's a threat on the board, be like, hey, person I just get probed, you should really remove that thing. And I know you have removal to do it, so you really should. I think there's salt in not letting this person do something creative with the card that they have in their deck. I think it should be totally fair game.
Interesting.
I think it kind of is fair game. The problem is that I do think it's something that's frowned upon. Like if it doesn't say revealed to all players, like in that scenario, and you're just like, these are all the cards in their hand. Most people are like kind of pissy about that. Even if you tell like specific things, unless it's like super high levels, like a Jin Gitaxias, I think in general, people will be pretty upset. But like when that happens, most of the time, I think the player will be like, you got me. Yep. It's in my hand.
So I think playing EDH is like kind of like playing poker.
Yeah.
You really don't want people to know what's in your hand. And then you want to, call your bluffs when you want to call your bluffs. You want to have your poker face. You want to have your poker face. So it is kind of salty. But at the same time, if it's relevant information to save yourself or the whole table, like, give it away. Or you could just play telepathy and just look at everyone's hands.
Yeah, except your hand is not revealed, which is the
except
best part
my
about
hand
that card. Like, oh man, what that does to a game. Telepathy, what a fucking card.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lance. And I mean, you said this as well, Mike. But I think that type of information needs to be, you can reveal that. I don't think there's anything in the rules against it. If there is, don't tell me. Don't at me.
The distinction is that I'm adding you. I'm gonna at you.
No, don't.
Oh,
I specifically asked you not to. So the distinction is you're not revealing that information by telling everyone at the table. You're just telling people stuff. So there are specific cards that care about revealing. It's not that.
Yeah.
but that's the only distinction.
I think that you can use that information strategically, though. Like if you see that someone has a beast within after you use Gitaxian Probe, and then some big target comes down and they have the mana up, you can be like, hey, why don't you use that card that I know you have? And kind of like force that a little bit. It's not exactly revealing it to everybody, but it's sort of leveraging that information that you have to get some game actions moving in your favor, you know?
The point is sort of like you can do it, but honestly, it's probably not helping you to do that either.
Yeah, I think that's the other piece to this. They mentioned in the post, it feels weird that they wouldn't be able to share information that would give them or the rest of the table an advantage. And while that is true, you don't want to give too much of an advantage to your opponent because there's an advantage to only you knowing that information. Two other people at the table, generally speaking, don't know what cards that player has. So that gives you a leg up. And if you share it with everybody else, you're sort of defeating the purpose of that card a little bit and kind of denying yourself the ability to use that information and kind of leverage it, you know?
Totally.
Another thing they mentioned here, just the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on, they talk about how they would tell people what answers they have in their hand if that matters for whatever reason. So, you know, they might say like, oh, I have a counterspell in my hand, guys. I can take care of this. I think that's kind of a different example of what's going on here. You know, it's not really like a one-to-one. Like if you're saying you have a card in your hand, to me, that's a little bit different than saying what someone else has in their hand as a result of, you know, seeing it with a spell.
Well, yeah, because you could also be lying.
That too.
There's been once or twice when I've been like, oh, don't do that.
Oh, that's the move. You Gitaxian Probe someone and then tell the rest of the table that they have absolute gas in their hand and try and get everyone to kill them that round.
My God. So good.
Dude, they have an Armageddon in their hand. Fucking get them.
Better act now.
You guys got a Bajuka Bog.
Oh, God.
Gaddock Teague in a mono red deck?
Yeah.
He's playing an
You're
illegal
not going to
deck.
believe me, man, but it's in there.
So what are we vibing? What's the salt rating?
I think it's low salt. I think it's a low sodium diet. I think it is it's like one of those fake salt packets. It's definitely got some of the flavor of salt, but I don't think there's any true salt going on.
Did they just start the diet though, or have they been on it for a while? Like that's the question.
You know, these are strangers on the internet, Tony, so I actually have no idea.
Tony, what are you talking about? What do you guys think?
I think it's pretty low.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
pretty low.
Yeah.
This is a Chick-fil-A chicken low.
Damn, shots fired.
It's low on my radar because you can use that information however you want to. Like it just depends on like, you know, what's happening at the table. But like if you want to give that information away, go ahead, play the game how you want to play it.
Yeah, what are they going to stop
Definitely.
you? Are they going to like duct tape your mouth shut if you start rattling off the cards they've got?
Cover their ears.
La, 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 la.
Yeah, don't tell
The
me I
sock
can't
with
hear
the
you. Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think this is like a very low salt post, if any salt at all. You know, really this person's just coming through with an interesting discussion. But I do feel a little bit of salt from the other players at the table sort of being like, no, you can't do that. I mean, like you said, Lance, you can fucking do that. In a game of Magic, I could just turn my hand around and show it to everybody at the table, and that's totally fine. Like,
Right. He's out of line, but he's right.
yeah. And sometimes people do that if they're like, I have no responses. Like I have no counter spells.
Yeah.
Don't ask me
It's
to
like,
stop.
how many times have you done that when you have like nothing but 2 lands left in your hand? You're just like, all right, guys, this is all I got.
Exactly.
So fuck me. Yeah. You can attack me, but I got 2 lands. So like, I don't know what you want from me.
Exactly.
I have definitely said that exact thing many a time.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it. And, you know, I think it's just, if you have the opportunity, just try to use that information a little bit cleverly to advance your board state a bit.
So is it that time of the
Oh my
week?
God.
Hell yeah.
That time of the week, it comes every week.
It does, right?
It's our favorite time of the week.
It's what I'm thinking.
It's time to ask.
It's the salty card.
It's time to ask Mike. Mike, what's the salty card of the week?
We need like an actual theme for that. Like,
No, we don't. It's good. You riffing every time is definitely what I want.
It's great. One day I'll just take you riffing little songs and I'll remix it into a song. How about that?
that would actually be kind of sick.
Like the corn song. Have you guys heard the corn song?
Oh, dude, everyone's heard
It's
the corn
I
song.
know. Well, so I was gone in Canada and I came back and suddenly everyone knew the corn song. I was like, what the fuck happened while I was gone?
That's my wife's jam right now. That's all she's like, it's got the juice. It's got the juice.
Dude, I'm just walking around like a zombie singing "It's Corn" all the time. It's so fucking good. It's a jam.
All right. Well, this one's a special one again for our guests. Our card today is Ristic Study.
Ah! I
So
love you guys. I love you
good.
guys so much.
So good. Oh man.
So for the one listener tuning in that has no idea what Ristic Study is, it's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. And it says, whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1.
Hello.
Hello.
What it doesn't say is that you then also have to be like, you gonna pay the one?
Do you pay the one?
Yeah.
Do you pay the one? Do you pay the one?
Can I draw a card? Do you pay the one?
Yeah.
Can I draw a card?
So
You're
fucking
constantly
annoying.
saying that after everyone casts a spell.
It's even worse if it's that and Smothering Tide.
Are you paying the 1 or the 2?
Oh man.
So my question is, as always, I'll start with Lance. Does this make you salty?
Yes, 100% makes me salty. Every time, like, you gonna pay the one? You gonna pay the one? Like, I will tell you when I'm gonna pay the one.
It's like, I know it's on the table. Like,
I see it. It's blue. It's in the corner of my eye. I'm gonna let you know when to pay the one. It's just such a good card. You know, you have it on the table. You slap it down. You're gonna draw cards. I paid the one a couple times because I had extra mana. But most people are gonna use their mana up in a turn, and then when they start drawing cards, like they have nothing to pay. So I guess you can have it. Like I have nothing there. But the one-off chance when I do have that extra mana, yeah, I'm gonna pay because I don't want you to have that card advantage. But it gets the blood boiling. I say I'm more less salty to it now because everything has some sort of weird card draw on it. Like recently, Esper Sentinel now,
Oh yeah.
that card.
It's another one where you get to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm never upset by it because it's white.
It does get the blood boiling a little. But
Yeah.
you know what you do to it? You just destroy it.
Yeah.
As fast as possible.
As fast as you just get rid of it, put it in the graveyard, and Bajuka bog it.
Just get it out of there. And remove it from the game as fast as possible.
You could bog the answer to every single card.
God, I hate Bajuka Bog.
This episode is exclusively going to be called Bajuka Bog.
Yeah, this episode is sponsored by Bajuka Bog.
Yeah.
I was saying Boo Worms.
How about you, Sonny?
So I used to hate the card because I could never afford it, and yeah, I was a poor boy. Nobody loves me. But I used to hate the card because of that. But as soon as I got my hands on one, and then obviously because of the channel's very dear to me because I get to do this with Lance, which I love. So now, anytime somebody asks me to pay the one, it doesn't make me mad. It makes me giddy, which kind of sounds weird. But whenever it's like, do you want to pay the one? And I'm like, no, I don't. But you go ahead. You can try your card. It's like, by the way, have you heard of our channel before? Like,
I love that.
Just sliding a business card across the table towards them.
Every time someone drops a Howling Mine from here on out, I'm just going to be amped about it.
Oh man.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna put one in every deck I make from now on.
Yeah, totally.
I will say though, I don't really love Ristic Study, but it's
Yeah.
mostly
Spill your salt, Tony. Spill it out.
because the salt grows, right? It's one of those things that at first you on your turn, you're like, I'll be the team player, I'm gonna fucking pay the one. And then fucking Mike or Sam is like, oh well, I can't do anything on my turn if I don't fucking just splooge my whole hand out.
Slander. This is slander.
And so then you're just like, oh fuck me. Okay, I guess I'll just get wrecked and have done nothing on my turn. But it's and that's slight exaggeration, but I don't know if our stats say otherwise. We started tracking who actually pays the one in our CDH games.
Oh, that's smart.
But the thing is, like in casual, I think this is the same for everyone in our pod. We like never even think about paying.
Never
it.
pay the one.
It's just like, you want a card, man? Go
It's like,
for
fucking
it.
get the card. I don't give a shit. I got
in
things to
CDH,
do over here.
I'll like lose my shit and I'll just be like seething over on the side. Because again, I never play blue, so I can never really do much of anything about them. I'm just trying to like,
Except for your mono blue CDH deck, you piece of shit.
yeah, but I played it like 2 times and it never works when I play it. This is why like Blue and I just don't get along. I have like 1 or 2 decks and I don't even know how to use them. So it's like I don't do them.
Yeah, this card definitely makes me salty as well. I think 1 is fine. I think the thing that really gets me salty, like what Tony said, that sort of cascade of people not paying the one where it's like, oh, well, you didn't pay the one, so now I'm not going to pay the one. And it's like, you're trying to spite me by not paying the one, but really we're just giving Mike like fucking 10 cards.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, fight amongst yourselves. The card advantage is crazy. But when I really hate it is when there's 2. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Or even worse, a Rhystic Study and a Smothering Tithe, where the Rhystic Study player is drawing a card, and then they're like, "Hey, Rhystic Study player, are you going to pay the 2 so I don't get a treasure from Smothering Tithe?" And they're like, "No way, I'm definitely not." And so you have one person who's just drawing cards like crazy, one person who's ramping like crazy, and then 2 other people who are just like left in the dust, man.
We're just sitting there like, I'm gonna cast Rampant Growth.
Yeah.
Does it resolve? Like,
yeah. Oh man. But yeah, 2 Rhystic Studies. Holy shit. We had this CDH game one time where 2 people had out Rhystic Studies for almost the entire game. And it wasn't me or Mike. It was Nick and Pat. And Mike and I did like nothing that game because we just couldn't do anything. We just couldn't compete.
I think I might have even resolved a Remora at one point, and then everyone played around the Remora, but just fed the Rhystic Studies.
Oh, dude, it was brutal. Yeah, that's a fucking good card. I do also totally love it though, and I put it in every deck I can find.
But that's also part of what I don't like about it, like that it's like, why would you not? There's like no blue deck.
Yeah,
I don't know. Those types of cards have their place. There's lots of them, right? It's just another reason to be like, all right, fuck you, whatever. Blue,
just like a generically good card.
Yeah,
blue.
like
and we talked about that with Psych Rift too. It's like your deck is very rarely worse because you put it in it, and that just kind of sucks because it means that there's like 1 slot less for people to think about while they're building EDH.
Just increases the salt for me. But where on the list did this land, Mike?
So this is.
Let me guess. It's got to be top 20.
I don't think it's top 20. It's not top 20. It doesn't beat out land destruction, dude.
Yeah, but there's only so many of those boils at the bottom of the list.
You would be surprised at how many mass land destruction spells there are. This actually comes in right after Negan the Cold-Blooded and right before Back to Basics. So it's 34.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's lower than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
It's lower than I did guess.
Yeah. So I have a slightly different take on why this card makes me salty. And as a player that plays a non-zero amount of blue, I really like casting this one. And the piece about this card, the piece about this card that actually makes me salty is I get so ready to draw the card that when someone pays the 1, I lose my shit.
oh, dude, that's me. That's me. Holy shit.
I'm like, are you kidding? I've seen you not pay the 1 a million times, and then this is the time. This is the time where you decide to pay the 1.
That's probably also why I have a lot of hate for it, because back when we first started CDH, I was playing a Circu Demir Lobotomist Lantern control deck, and I resolved a fucking Rhystic Study and a Miss Remora once or twice, and we had never played around them. We always, in the beginning of CDH, were just like fucking feeding each other, and my shit was not fed, and I was so mad. So you're right. That definitely is super salty.
You are very unlucky with blue, Tony. Whenever you play those things, we're like, okay, we all agree to not let Tony draw any cards, right? And we're like, yeah, of course not. And then I play one and everyone's like, all right, well, Sam can draw 10 cards. It's fine, right?
Like, whatever.
Top 10 villain origin stories.
Yeah, exactly. This is why Tony hates blue. Now the listeners know.
All right. Well, I think that sums it up for the salty card of the week then.
Awesome. That's a great one, Mike. Thank you. And that's the end of our episode, everybody. I just want to thank Lance and Sonny again. Thanks for jumping on today, guys. It was super dope to have you on.
Absolutely, man. It was a blast. Honestly, me and Lance can't thank you enough, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, this is the start of a multiverse saga. So
first crossover event.
Yeah, the first crossover. This is just the beginning. This is first Avengers movie.
Dude, can you imagine if our Knicks ever meet each other? Oh my God.
Oh shit.
There might be a chance.
To the listeners, hey, I have no idea how these episodes are going to come out because we haven't talked about it yet. But we are going to be on an episode of Pay the One MTG. You guys should check them out. Even if we weren't going to be on an episode, you should check them out. But because we're going to be on an episode, you should definitely check them out. But they are on Spotify. I think that's the easiest place to find you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys have a backlog of, I think, like 26 episodes right now. And there's a couple where you guys focus on Salt. We talked about them at the top of the episode. You guys have some great interviews with people out in the Magic community. And you also just have some great discussions about like specific card types, specific deck types, favorite decks that you have, some release reviews. I mean, you guys kind of hit it all. So it's a great spot, to hear some excellent Magic the Gathering content.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
So before I do the episode post-amble, I do want to shout out that we are going to be at Magic 30 in Las Vegas in October. We're coming out there. The three of us are going to be there. Our Nick is going to be there with us. We're going to be playing in events. We're going to be jamming Commander games. We'll be scratching at the gates of the command zone and say, please, Josh Lee Kwai, let us in. Take pity. And you guys are also going to be at Magic 30, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're definitely going to be there trying to look sexy.
Hell yeah. No, that's going to be a really good time. If any of our listeners are going to be in the area, find us. We're going to be the four goofy looking guys with big Howling Salt Mine shirts on.
Yeah.
We might have some swag to hand out. You never know. Come find us. If you want to find us outside of Magic 30, what a segue, guys. Damn. That's fucking
wow.
Amazing. Emmy Award winning. If you guys want to find us outside of Magic 30, check us out on Instagram. We are at The Howling Salt Mine. Check us out on Reddit. Post once a week on there. We also just kind of mingle with the Reddit communities, and our username is The Howling Salt Mine. If you guys see us down in the mines, just say, hey, I love to get little messages here and there about people being like, hey, I like your podcast. Like that just totally makes my day. If you guys have salty stories and you want to send them to us, you could DM them to us on Reddit, Instagram, I guess. But the easiest way to get those to us is at our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. As always, we ask you to keep those stories short, sweet, and to the salt. Well, I want to ask Lance and Sonny, do you guys have anything to plug? Where's the best place to find your social media things and your podcast?
Yeah, so we are definitely on YouTube. We run Commander recorded games that we call Last One Standing. We try to, the word is try to have one out at least every month. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and TikToks. We're kind of old, so we don't know how to work the TikToks. But we're learning. We're learning, guys. But yeah, majority of it, honestly, Instagram. Lance does a fantastic job at running that. He always puts.
I know he does
different cards of the week.
We're chatting on there all the time. It's great.
We are on Reddit too, but that's kind of freshly new. But majority, definitely YouTube. Hit us up on YouTube. That's where we try to have the action at.
And how often do you guys update your podcast? You're usually doing like once a week, once every other couple of weeks?
Yeah, once a week, once every other week.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in today. And as always, stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Let me look up scavenger ground. This stuff all gets edited out, guys. This is why we sound so professional. lots of editing.
Oh, man, we leave everything in there. We like, oh, hang on, I'm putting my shoes on.
That's
This,
a
cut it
more
all
real
out.
experience, though.
Yeah, we want everybody to feel the raw dog.
Yeah, and then we take all the crappy stuff that we say and we put it at the end as bloopers.